What's up, what's up, what's up? This your man, the STL Stranger, Umar Ali, here to talk about the events last night at UFC 229, Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. And basically, I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. Fan of both guys. The striking style of Conor, the charisma, and the punishing wrestling and grappling combat sambo of Khabib, and the fighting culture of Dagestan in the North Caucasus. The fight itself is not too difficult to explain. It was one-sided, it was dominant, no need for a rematch. There's a rematch when the first fight was competitive, and you need 2 or 3 fights to see who is better. You know, think of in boxing, you know, trilogies like Ali Frazier, Barrera Morales, or in UFC, Nate Diaz versus Conor. That's not the case here. One-sided ass whoop. Khabib dominated on the ground. Conor couldn't defend the takedowns. He punished Conor, and Khabib held his own on his feet. He's the one that rocked Conor. No need for a rematch. Now, as far as what happened after the fight, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on. No doubt it was wrong. No doubt Khabib shouldn't have jumped the cage. Conor did not get jumped. Conor threw the first blow after the fight, and a melee ensued. But all of that was unnecessary and should and will be fined. But there's a lot of hypocrisy going around. A lot of McGregor fans who were cool with the Dolly incident in New York, who have been talking anti-Muslim and racist trash talk for months, now all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're supposed to be gentlemen, this is a sport, whereas you're supposed to be role models. Well, weren't you supposed to be role models when you were throwing that dolly in New York? Weren't you supposed to be role models when you were cursing all throughout your press conferences? So there's selective outrage from Conor fans. And I know why. I went to this fight neutral. I thought there was a good chance Conor could land something big and win the fight. But the fight could go either way. I didn't have a strong opinion about who was going to win. I really wasn't rooting for either one. Yeah, I'm a Muslim, but that doesn't necessarily mean I was rooting for Khabib, because it's athletics. It's a sporting event. I seldom go watch fights at bars, but I was ripping and running. I had to go watch the fight at Hooters last night. And there were so many racist Donald Trump supporters cheering loudly for Khabib, cheering loudly for Conor, booing Khabib, saying anti-Muslim stuff, just really revealing the racist and hateful underbelly of Donald Trump's America. Then I started rooting loudly for Khabib and celebrating when he won. You know, what happened afterwards, look, Dagestan, Chechen, North Caucasus, that culture is not a culture where you can talk about somebody's family. You know, you cannot disrespect them. They're going to take it lying down, be like, oh, it was just to promote the fight. Oh, we would just play. It's not like that. It's some people you don't play with. Dagestans you don't play with. And Conor was acting gangster, like he wanted that smoke. Well, him and his team got that smoke last night, and they didn't like it. They needed the police to come as the fire extinguisher. That's the reality. But who do I blame? Well, the UFC promoted itself as being better than boxing because it's a league, because it's organized, because there's structure like there is in the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, the NHL, the MLS. Well, in any of those leagues, if you use inappropriate trash talking about race, talking about religion, talking about culture, talking about families, you will be fined and you will be suspended. Dana White said at the press conference last night that you can't stop that in a fight game. You can stop that in a fight game. That's why you have a league, so you can govern things. That's why the UFC was created. Dana White, we know he's a friend of Donald Trump. We know he's a Donald Trump supporter. And we know in the MMA fan base in America, and that's one of the reasons I'm more of a boxing and wrestling fan, because there's this suburban white guy, kind of shaved head, law enforcement type that tends to be racist that are MMA fans, like Colby Covington, like Chael Sonnen. There's a lot of these racist dudes involved in MMA. A lot of these far right-wing groups have MMA fight clubs. So Dana White could change the culture of the sport, but he's playing to the Trump base. He's playing to that Trump-trained audience. And so I blame Dana White for it, because he could have calmed down this trash talking. He could have put Conor in check. Now, what's going to happen now is up to the Nevada State Athletic Commission and UFC. But we know that Conor's the golden goose. We know that Dana White has one standard for him and the rest for the UFC. We know that Dana White is a Trump supporter. And we know he had no problem having Conor fight after the Ghali incident in New York. We had no problem letting him talk trash. So he shouldn't have no problem with Khabib. He should ride for Khabib just like he rode for Conor, to get Khabib to fight again. To make sure that everything goes smooth, just like he did for Conor. But we know he's not. And Michael Bisping said, well, Khabib can't get a visa now. Well, how was Conor, an Irish citizen who flagrantly broke the law in New York City, how was he able to get a visa? Because the UFC pulled strings. So we know there's a double standard. And that double standard is because Khabib is a Muslim. He's from Dagestan. We all know what it is. So there's no need for anybody to play. It is what it is. So Dana White, I blame this fiasco on you. Both sides were inappropriate, but I can understand from Khabib's perspective, that's the Dagestani culture. And Conor wanted that smoke. They got that Dagestani smoke, and they couldn't handle it. Conor tapped out in the ring, took another L after the fight, and his team took another L in the stands. It is what it is. It was a bad night for Conor. It was a bad night for Dana White, and it was a bad night for all you Donald Trump fans. Peace.